Financial disclaimer. The information provided in this stream is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional financial or investment advice. We are not licensed financial advisors, and the content presented here is based on our personal opinions and experiences. Investing in stocks and other financial instruments involves risk, including the potential loss of capital. Any investment decisions you make are solely your own responsibility, and you should conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial professional before making any investment choices. The content we share on this stream may not be accurate, complete, or up to date. Market conditions and financial regulations can change rapidly, and we cannot guarantee the accuracy or reliability of the information presented. We do not endorse or promote any specific stocks, companies, or investment strategies. Any actions you take based on the content of this stream are at your own risk, and we will not be held liable for any losses or damages that may occur as a result. Always remember that past performance is not indicative of future results, and no investment is guaranteed to be profitable. Make informed decisions and consider your risk tolerance before investing any funds. By accessing and using this stream, you acknowledge and agree that we are not responsible for any investment decisions you make as a result of the content presented. You are encouraged to seek advice from qualified financial professionals for personalized guidance. Please invest responsibly and only with money you can afford to lose.
Hey man, just found the next guaranteed multi-bagger.
Hey man, you found another one? What is it this time?
Come check this out.
Okay, next please. How can I help you, young man?
We want to go all in on EVTV. We like when it's clear manipulation in the share price and a potential lawsuits creates a massive opportunity.
Well, that's fantastic. A really smart decision, young man. We can put that checked and it's gone.
Hey everyone, welcome to Laughing Stock. How are you today, Dayne?
Good. How you doing, Johnny?
Yeah, good. I just saw EVTV. We can start with the ticker EVTV. I think they've had a bit of a rough week. They were down. Another EV company, right? They did some services and stuff like that. I saw as well. But we have talked a number of times now how hard it is to make one of these companies stick. You know, in the world, it's not easy.
Yeah. It's a pretty brutal chart too. Just it looked like it had a nice little breakout.
Yeah.
And then what is that day? On the 15th,
Yeah.
it broke 200-day average at the start, and then someone sold their entire position.
I think I saw some comments about people trying to get a lawsuit together because they felt it was pure manipulation from someone, and when I read that, maybe it's some of the insiders or anything, because they also said like they tried to contact the company, but they don't reply back to them. So a bit sketchy, I guess.
Yeah, but I don't. How much does it have to do with the company? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
just
I don't know though.
you're buying something because it's going up, and like,
yeah,
these things get pumped and dumped. I mean, it's a small company. I mean, what is the market cap? It's 6 million. So even there, where it was at the peak, it was at 10 million. So if you're buying a $10 million company, like, you know how easy it is for someone with a few $1,000,000 to buy 500,000 shares of this and have it fly up and then sell at the peak and double their money on like nothing.
And with a lawsuit, you're not gonna get much back, right? Either way, how it goes.
It's hard to prove, I mean, it's hard to prove. Even if someone bought, like, for instance, let's say some guy spent, $500,000 and bought on the 10th and then sold on, the 15th and drove it down. What happens if he said, I'm a swing trader and I bought it because I thought it looked good? And because honestly, right there, it's a breakout. And he's like, so I held it for 3 days and then it peaked on Monday and I sold. Are you going to say that he did something wrong?
Yeah, no. It's this is why we have a cap on the market caps, right? That we are looking for.
It gets super risky when you're below 10 million.
Super risky. And I know a lot of we just spoke a lot of the traders that we are learning from, and when they get their big accounts eventually, they are very focused on dollar volume in tickers, and they have also a minimum amount of dollar volume that they refuse to go into. And I remember Kilamagi saying many times that you can't, it just gets too random, and this is one example of what can happen then. One person can just kill your entire position, and you don't want to put your faith into someone, you know, that you don't know the intentions to. And like you said, even if they have good intention and they honestly thought it was a good trade, this can happen.
Yeah, and the other thing too is on these charts, usually because they're smaller and there's a lot of volume that kind of comes in all at once, like the bid ask spread is huge.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to like day trade this, you know, it's almost hard to even put a limit order in, because who knows where that's going to trigger. It's almost like buying a market, because it's gonna be hard to like nail it down, especially if it starts to like move up during the day. Because if you're just trying to get in to do a quick day trade and get in and out of it, like it becomes hard to even use a limit. It's going to just trend like almost like a market. And then at that point, like you said, it's just sheer luck if you get in and you're able to capture some kind of gain.
That puts me off on many tickers. If there's a too wide of a spread, because in trading you can put like the buy and sell buttons up so you can see what the spread is.
Right.
And I'm always hesitant, and especially if you combine that with a little bit of a low volume day, I'm not touching it.
Yeah, it depends on the stock, but like, yeah, if it's a lower priced stock and the spread's pretty big, that can be like 3 or 4%. So
yeah,
you can literally buy, and then the very next person sells at 4% down, and now you're down 4% right off the rip.
Yeah, and they can only buy just a few shares, and that's going to happen to you, you know.
Right. And, you know, if you just get unlucky and you buy at the wrong time, and, you know, 2 or 3 people sell out like a decent amount of their position, you know, the stock could be down 6-7%, you know, for it might only be for, you know, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But it drops just quick enough that you got in at the wrong time. And, you know, you and I are looking for breakouts. You know, I'm looking for something that's truly just breaking out. You know, I don't really like to get in the consolidation phase. I find it's one of two things. It's too random. Either you're getting stopped out because, you know, you're in consolidation, it pulls back, and because it's, you know, you're not really sure it's going to break out, or you end up sitting in it for forever because it's still going to consolidate for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm a much bigger fan of trying to get in as it truly is breaking out. Like, I want to see something. It's either breaking a previous close or breaking a previous high, one of the two.
Yeah. That's one point I know a lot of traders make, but Kulamagi as well. He just when he has those streams where he had reviewed like setups that other people have taken that are in his chat, he says all the time to them like, you didn't trade the breakout, you traded before the breakout, and stop doing that, because you don't need to be the first one in. You just get some signals that this is gonna move up, because so many times if you do like the anticipation breakouts, they turn on you, or they keep consolidating for you don't know how long time that's going to be. So I agree fully with you there that I'm just looking for when they cross the lines that I'm drawing, and when I consider it a breakout, you know.
Right. No, I totally agree. I think it's
I know Stockbee and all those, they have strategies for anticipated breakouts, so they can work, of course, but in the place I'm right now, I need a confirmation before I get behind my position, I think.
Yeah. And I also I just think even though they have that kind of idea, like Stockbee, for instance, even if he likes to buy off the pullback, which I totally understand. If something's moved up and it kind of forms that cup and handle, so something starts to move up, and instead of buying the first time it looks like it breaks out, he usually lets it kind of break out, because a lot of times it does, and then it moves sideways or pulls back a little bit, and then when it comes up about 4% off the bottom of that next leg up, you know, he's trying to buy that first part of the handle. So if it's in that setup where it's gone up and it's pulled back a smidge, and now it starts to move up 4 or 5%, that's where he gets interested. And once again, we were actually just talking about this right before the stream starts, because this is something that like I don't know why I didn't really think about this before, but if you're a bigger trader, for instance, and you got, you know, let's say $30 million in your account or something like that, and you're looking at bigger stocks, those stocks tend not to move as much. So if you're looking at like you know, like just Tesla, for example, and that starts to form that part of the handle and it's up 4%, that's a really bullish sign, because Tesla's not moving big percentages all the time. You know,
Yeah.
it's usually something's happening, something's changing. I mean, I know the whole markets were kind of nutty last week. A lot of stuff was moving, especially with the rate cuts and the idea that there might be even more rate cuts. So that's in there. But knowing that you're going to take that bigger position, if you do see something like that, that's up 4% coming off a handle, like that's a pretty bullish sign. I can see why you could possibly get in a little bit earlier doing that.
I also started to think a little bit after I watched that Weinstein guy on Trader Lion. He was speaking of the overall market, but his point about how it shows a strong signal when it like violently crosses above one of the moving average. I think he was especially interested in the 50-day moving average and maybe even the 100 and 200 day. But when something, also a big stock like Tesla, when that, you know, violently comes above the one of the moving averages on big volume, that can be our entry alone. I've been thinking lately on one of these bigger market cap stocks.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, the bigger market cap stocks, actually, the more I look at it, those charts are actually easier to kind of follow, because like you said, when something happens like that, it's a much bigger indicator. There's a lot more volume coming in, so it's harder for that stuff to reverse off that. So if you have enough, I mean, it's just human psychology. You have enough people looking at a 50-day moving average and people really start to pile in when it breaks that. You think they're all going to sell the next day? No, they're not.
No.
They're like, oh, right, we broke the 50. Like, let's get a position going here, or add to a position and, you know, ride this up. So, and the fact that funds look at everything quarterly, like they're slow to move.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Like they took a position that they're going to hold for a while, you know?
Yeah, and I know. By the way, we're small peons, but shout out to Trader Lion. That guy does a great job with his interviews.
Oh yeah, very. It's like the Market Wizard books just on YouTube, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, it is kind of like a live version of Market Wizards.
Yeah. No, I've and also his guests, how much they share and how open they are about their strategies and you know, I think I mentioned the guy Marius, I think his name is Marius, on the last stream, but his episode, it's from a year ago or something. It's 3 hours, you know, so it's a lot of good content. And I know he spoke also on one of his recent conferences, and I remember I heard Ariel Hernandez. He said like he loves to listen to that guy speak. So a lot of the guests are bringing so much to the table as well. So I've learned a lot from Trader Lion, a very good channel. We have it listed in one of the channels to follow in the Discord, by the way.
Only difference here is you get, you know, our live thoughts here, so very valuable. But yeah, no. How did you do for your week?
Oh, my week was great. It's my best week so far, swing trading, and I don't really know why, but it was a good week for the market, you know. And I've just you know, Monday you texted me. Monday was like a normal day, and then you texted me. You know, I was down a little bit, and then you texted me, and then I was stopped out. I was even more down. I was like, oh my god, what is going on? And it was some news, right? About the rate cuts, or if it was Tuesday, I don't remember.
Wednesday was the day that it
Wednesday, yeah. So until that, it was like mixed, and then on Wednesday bounced up again straight away, right? And then Thursday and Friday, just I was up a lot on a couple of stocks, and I managed this week to just have fewer losses, you know, which is one area that I've tried to improve. And I told you before the stream, I need to do this, you know, multiple weeks in a row or over a longer time to say anything that I can feel that my changes have paid off. But so far, so good. And I think even one of the stocks were up even more in after hours on some okay volume, I guess. So let's see next week if it continues or not. But I struggle a little bit because we have talked about stocks getting extended, right? So what I'm struggling a little bit with now is when should I start to trim some of the positions that starts to get into extended territory in my book, because on the most successful one I own now, I'm up 60%, but I trimmed it a bit early and I sold half, and I of course I regret that a little bit, but at the same time it does protect me, right? But I'm just like trying to figure out what I need a strategy for that. And on the things I bought this week that has moved up a lot, I have not trimmed them yet. So, but I have moved the stop loss point up to a degree where it's going to be a very good trade for me anyways, you know?
Yeah, I think a big thing is, of course, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. In terms of trimming, like, you know, as I'm adding to positions and I'm now treating them separately. Initially, I was trying to treat them all as the same. And a lot of my failure to improve when I look, you know, back over the past like 2 months or so, one thing that's really been a sticking point for me is the fact that I'm not sitting here doing this live, you know, all day. I can't sit at the computer like, you know, like a full-time trader could. So my decisions are quick. And during the day, there's a lot of downtime where I don't get to see anything. I just can't watch like I want to. So instead of trying to make it where I'm doing the intelligent thing, which is treating positions differently, letting the nuance of the markets like kind of work their way out, I'm trying to make like simple rules that like kind of block things together. So like I could in a quick minute I could adjust things or change things. And I've actually found if I treat everything as separate positions, even as I'm adding to things, even the same stock, by doing that, I'm allowing kind of just small things to work out better. And it might be a little bit harder sometimes, and sure, I might make a mistake here and there because of doing it that way. So like I said, I'm not able to watch 24/7, or at least while the markets are open. But so far, like looking at my numbers and stuff, it's been working out better. So I guess my overall point though is even though, you know, I wish I could do things to a more critical level with each of these things. So like when it comes to trimming or it comes to adding, I've set my rules to make it so I can do these things a little bit more generally. I haven't mentioned this on the stream yet, but one big thing I'm starting to do now is take smaller positions in a lot of these things. And by that way, it allows me to kind of keep a bigger stop loss. It allows me to, when I go to trim something, you know, it doesn't seem as like life or death. Like if you have a 20% position in something, you know, and you're trying to make that trim decision, there's a lot of weight on it.
Yeah.
Where, you know, if it's like a 5% position and that's already a bigger position for me, or a 10%, like, you know, let's say I'm at 10% for something, you know, it doesn't have that weight on me. So when I go to make that decision, if I sell 5% on a 10% position, it's not such a big deal. You know what I mean? Like it's okay whether it works or not. You know, it might be the right move, it might be the wrong move, but regardless of it, is I'm, you know, taking small increments to improve. And if I get a smaller return on some of these things, it's okay because I'm in a lot of things. The markets are moving right now, so it's a good time to kind of be spread out, in my opinion. I'm sure it won't always be like this. There'll be times where I probably don't have a ton of positions because the markets just aren't being productive. But that's why I have the market strength. And market strength, I didn't post yesterday's, but I mean, some of the highest numbers I've had are in the past month.
Yeah.
You know, if you look back a month from right now, I mean, everything is just swing trading is in really strong numbers right now.
Yeah, it is. And I did follow the rules of selling half a position at the between day 3 and 5, or if I got a certain amount of gain before that. And I just felt like on everyone that succeeded for me, it was a bit you know not so motivating seeing they continue to go up, but with a small position that it didn't do so much for me in total. And then we started to experiment a little bit with how to add quicker to a 20% position maybe. And I'm just like, after that, I haven't really figured out where I want to have my rules yet. So, but I think I want to use how extended something are from the 50-day moving average, and what I'm using currently is like the ATR percentage, and I just need to figure out what kind of limits, how many times the ATR percentage something is above the 50-day moving average, where I want to start to trim. And I know a lot of traders, they have it like 6, 7, 8 times, then they start to trim a little bit. But I'm thinking maybe I want to go a little bit higher than that. Maybe start to trim if I see 8, 9, 10 times. But this is something I need to check more in depth before I can say that it's a rule that I'm following,
Gotcha. Yeah, I've definitely been really considering ADR, and I was joking with you about this, but one thing I never really thought about is with stock charts, you can't necessarily screen exactly for ADR. So at the time, I wasn't really doing that. I was just saying, I want to see stuff that's moving, and by looking for that, I can look for something that's at like 52-week highs, that kind of thing, or up over the past 6 months or 3 months, whatever. So that's one way of doing it. But I was just like, if I just screen and say I just want something to be over 80% for the past 20 days, if you just divide it, it's 4% a day. So it's one easy way for me to say I want ADR to be closer to 4. It's not 100% perfect, but it does throw me stocks that are much more likely to go up. So that's one big improvement in my screening process I've got this week. And kind of similar to you, I know this could be biased because Wednesday was such a big turning day for the market. So I'm hoping it's not just that, but I was down a little bit at the start of the week. And by a little bit, I should say a decent amount. So I was down like 2-3%. And I was trying different things. So as always, it's I know where I'm at, and I know what I was doing before was averaging, it looked like 25 to 30%, which is great. Like I said, I was happy with those numbers, but it's got to be better than that. So I still keep trialing things because I want it to be 50 to 100 or even higher. I just, why would you settle if you think you can keep improving? Like, you should always be at, even if it's incrementally, you should be improving like something each week if you can. And one of the only ways to do it is to trial things, it's to try different things. So
and to
some
try
of the things
it with
I tried at the start of the week. What's up?
No, and also to try it with your own money. That's a big point,
Yeah, and I mean, sure, it sucks to lose, but like, I'll try something, and it'll work out on 1 or 2 things, and also I'll see it kind of not working out, and I'm like, okay, that didn't work. That's it's okay. But I have switched over, like I said, to taking smaller positions with a bit larger of a stop loss, and that's really kept me in a lot of the names as they've broken out. So where I was actually down almost 3% at the start of the week, I ended the week up about 1.5%. So it was a 4.5% swing almost.
That's good.
Yeah.
In
So
3 days.
that to me showed some promise. And I'm just taking all these different rules into consideration that I know all the strongest traders use, and I'm trying to make it a little bit systematic. There's definitely some nuance still in terms of like why I decide something. I keep looking at different kinds of charts, different kinds of setups, and as I see a chart, if I can place it in a category in my mind, okay, like it looks like it's this kind of a chart. Typically the breakout will occur on this chart at this point. So I'm looking for those kind of things. I'm looking for historical like fractals and stuff like that, that I can see how it's reacted previously to moving averages, all those things. And then the other big one I'm trying to throw into things is if something really starts to move, you know, if let's say I'm just screening for stuff, if something's breaking out to a new high, whether it's on like a 3-month or a 6-month or a 52-week, and let's say it's up 5%, and it has decent volume or something like that, like it's kind of over its normal volume, that's an okay trade to take. Like that setup's probably okay. But let's say something's moving up and it's already up 8% and it's got pretty solid volume already. Those are the ones that if I'm going to take, because it's already moved a little bit, I want to see what's going on. Is there news or something? Or is it like kind of like or I mean, does the setup really look just that good? Is it really that good of a setup, or is there news or something? Because if you get news on top of it and then you get the setup working and you see everybody seeing it, those are good ones to try and get in right away as quickly as you can, because those are going to be the ones that something may have changed with the business. And as always, you know, us coming from deep value, I will never, ever not remember that this all only really works because of the money either coming into the company or some kind of narrative. Those are the two reasons these things really move.
You need something to attract people, right? And that something can be a lot of things, but that's if you want to put it simple, that's what it comes down to.
Well, and those are the two reasons that stocks move and move more permanently up. The other reason that things move is because of momentum.
Yeah.
People see stuff going up and they buy it. But those ones tend to be shorter lived. They tend to be more volatile. They're usually in companies that don't have a lot going for themselves. And, you know, something just starts to get, the supply and demand of it starts to get out of whack. And that's where, like we said, our setup should work, even on ones that don't necessarily have a great catalyst. So those are the ones that I'm not saying you can't take those, but those are ones I'm probably going to be taking a smaller position per se in those. And, you know, on something like that, I'm not going to wait for a 10 or a 20-day moving average. I'm going to get out at either some percentage or some kind of low that I'm looking for, you know, that kind of thing. And I think that's a little bit more of the art side of it, where if you know just a little bit more information than the average trader, and we said this with fundamentals, you know, the guys who really outperform fundamentally, they're doing good research on companies that people aren't looking at, and that's how they're able to kind of get their edge. And I think almost the same with trading. Like, do you think a lot of people put this kind of time and effort into these things? I highly doubt it. I don't think people care that much. I think there's so many people out there who just look at the stock market like a gambling instrument, that if you're doing those little bits of extra work, you're just putting yourself ahead of the next, you know, 8 people. And if you're trading just a little bit better than they are, like we said, a 1% improvement, if you keep doing that over time with how you're trading, it makes big differences.
Yeah. Look at the courage and conviction on Seeking Alpha and his, you know, his articles. He goes where no one else wants to, and he just digs in and you know, ties everything together and comes up with good thesis at least. And some of them doesn't work out. Like I think that happens for everyone.
Yeah.
But there are people out there who spends a lot of time and thinking and manage to outperform widely, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me move into the index here, Dayne, or the Nasdaq, because we saw a pretty steep uptrend now the last couple of weeks. So things, and I just went through some of the, you know, the giga cap companies before the stream, and they don't seem to fall like if you look at the charts right now. So what do you think? Like, are we bullish until the end of the year here, or?
It's hard to say, because now, well, I do want to point this out. We called this perfectly. If you look at the previous lows, August 1st, August 20th, 21st, September 2nd, you keep seeing that same thing, that each low is higher, you know, higher lows. The peaks were, you got the 21.5 on July 31st, you got 21.8 on August 13th. And then, you know, you had the breakout essentially on September 10th. It's where it really started to break out again. And so this chart to me, where in the past I would have not been able to notice that, it's such an obvious sign to me now that this was
Yeah.
going to go up. And you and I said, I'm like, everything looks bullish to me.
Yeah.
There was that pullback day on September 5th where it looked a little rough, but I was like, yeah, but it started the day high. It ended the day at the previous day's close.
And then if you look just three bars previous to that also, it's creating a new higher low, and then it has a gap up through the moving averages like we just spoke about, right? And that pullback where you talked about, it didn't cover that gap area at all. So that still looked strong for me, and it did also touch the 10-day moving average on my chart here. So that was a good sign. I think that it's going to be good days ahead as well.
Yeah, and you had 10 and 20 day consolidating, and like you said on the 5th, it sold off all the way down, hit the moving average, and bounced right back up. Yeah. So almost like you can just see there's that huge level of support there. So
I also noticed, Dane, that I'm not sure if you can see my chart, but if I just draw a line in the angle that the market is moving here now, I feel like this line is a bit steeper than a lot of these previous ones, but I did see it correlates a little bit with what happened here in end of June and the beginning of July, which was a very good environment, right? I mean, this whole period has been, but I have at least struggled a little bit when it has flattened out a little bit more than, I just feel like it's a little bit of a change in the lines here. I don't know if that matters, but this week was and last week was great weeks,
Yeah. So it's just a bullish time period. It's a fun time to be trading. Things are moving.
Yeah.
And I will say you learn a lot. Lance made me feel better about myself because he said specifically that most true traders that really get good, if you're really working on it, it should take at least 2 years. So I figure it's been about a year now, and I definitely have improved. So over the next year, if I'm able to really start to solidify everything in my head, hopefully I'm at that point where I can take advantage of things. And like I said, the numbers all make sense. The more I look at like I said, I am seeing things, I think. And I guess hopefully the goal is, like I said, incrementally, if each week I feel like I'm getting that much better, my style is able to support what I'm able to do, time wise. That's all really important. Finding your niche and how you can perform in the markets it's a tough thing to do. It really is. There's, they talk about how many great traders there are in the world, and, really, really successful traders. There's a few thousand at most. Yeah. So with that being said, it's essentially you're trying to get to the level of like a high sports performer.
Yeah.
Which usually it's not easy to do. I mean, there's very few people who figure it out. So, it's going to take time and work, no matter how I look at it. But it helps me because on the times when I struggle on things, it just is a reminder that, this is not easy. Don't expect this to just come to you. You're going to have to keep trying and working on things and always improving, and realizing that all these rules are somewhat finite. The markets change, as the markets change from, we had the meme stocks in 21, we had semis in, the markets pulled back in 22. So just knowing that that's not a good environment to trade, obviously that doesn't take a genius to figure that out, but it's important to recognize it. And then you had AI, you had all the quantum names, everything has kind of its little section where it does super well, and recognizing those trends and getting in on those ones. I think that's the final leg. I think that's the real nuance, is being able to recognize those really strong sectors, because that's where the swings really work.
Yeah. And you can use Finvis to check. They have I know IBD, they have their own screeners for these top groups,
Yeah, there's a million of them.
Yeah, and on Finvis, you can use it for free. Just go there and check it.
And the one
Yeah.
thing I'll say too is, the problem with a lot of that kind of screening process is you're seeing those things kind of, if you're looking at a whole sector when it starts to move, if you're noticing a sector is finally moving, you're probably a little late.
Yeah.
That's why I really think a lot of the greats always say that, like, you want to notice when that one leading stock in a group is really moving, because that's where you're going to find the other 3 or 4 in that sector that
Yeah.
have moved in the past that seem to kind of trail that leader. Those 4 names you can probably get into pretty close to the start of that move and
Yeah.
and take advantage of it.
And this is
I
where
saw
you
like
should
Qubit and
look
all
at
those
the
guys were moving again. You look at all the quantum stuff, this
Yeah.
last week, they all really started taking off, all those names.
Yeah, they did.
So just something to think about. Like look at qubits and then look at QUBT.
Yeah.
It looks like it's a little behind it. So I think that's possibly a name you could get in still, and you haven't totally missed the move.
No.
But those ones have already broken out. So this is where you can
these
pull up
are
that
really-
vector and like what other names have moved in here that haven't yet.
Yeah. I think
And they all follow the same pattern, really.
yeah, they do, and we have seen that 100 times now, right? With when you open the groups, they all look the same actually. Especially if you go to like the airlines and all that stuff, they are very they follow each other.
Yeah.
But
Well,
do
it's institutions. It shows you the institutions are moving into this
those
group.
they run the prices, right?
Yeah,
But-
they're the money. So, trying to anticipate what the institutions are doing, I think, is a massive part of trading.
Yeah, and pick up the signs like these are, big guys buying, not just Reddit crowd or anyone else.
Right. I pulled up Rigetti, and that's a $9 billion company right now. So it's not small retail moving that.
No, exactly.
Occasionally, you'll get the GME or like an AMC where retail's the one that's moving a lot of it, but the institutions see that retail's pouring into it, and they're playing in that as well.
Yeah.
So there's, you get a mix of everything, but most of the time you see a big move like this, something that goes from like 6 billion to 9 billion. That's $3 billion is a lot of money flown in. So that's institutions.
Yeah, for sure. And if you want to identify like these strong stocks after a correction in the market, pay attention to the RS rating, and also if one of these starts to move sideways or just drops a little bit when the entire market is having a rough day or rough week, those tends to end up like the leaders, right, Dayne?
Right.
So that's going to be something you should notice in the beginning of a bullish environment after a correction. Like they show themselves pretty clearly, and I didn't notice it this time, but I'm looking forward to the next time this happens, so I can see if I can pick up on it and maybe get in early on one of these leaders that's gonna just continue. Like we talked about it before the stream, but like you had a lot of them this time. Carvana, Palantir, they all have been performing strong, but slower movers, of course. But maybe you could go in then with a little bit of a heavier position to start with.
Right.
But this week for me, IMRX has performed very well for me. It wasn't well. It kind of broke out here again on Thursday, but it didn't have the best volume, I think. So I didn't add to it. I was ready for that breakout, but I didn't add to it because I didn't see the big volume coming in, and it's also quite extended right now, I think. So I just kept the position, but it's still moving up. Then LCTX, another one that had performed very good for me this week. All of them has really. That's why I had a good week. AREC, AREC yesterday it fell 2 days in a row, but yesterday was up 15% again. And then PSIX has moved up. This is my 10% line. So it has moved up here, and I'm gonna just, raise the stop if it continues. And then the best performer yesterday for me was VERI. That even in the aftermarket, it went up another, I think 10% or something. But it had volume, but not the best volume in the aftermarket. So let's see what happens there on Monday. I kind of expect a red day after almost 30% up,
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, this whole week was very bullish. So
Yeah, it was.
Friday was a little slower in some names. I
Yeah.
saw, so not as strong as Thursday was, but yeah, some names still even on Friday. So it just depends on kind of where in the move different things are.
Yeah.
But
and I managed to get also into URG on Friday. Because I saw the group was performing really well, and that group has been strong for the entire quarter. And then I saw volume coming into this name, and it broke above my lines, so I took it, and I was waving my middle finger to you because that's my nemesis stock, right? Which I don't know, it doesn't help to show the middle finger to this stock because it outperforms everything else I've done, I think. But I am very hesitant to jump into this again since I've been burnt so many times. But I know you have some success now with one of your strong nemesis stocks, Dayne.
Yeah, Antimony Corp. I finally took this week and finally have caught a swing trade on the stupid thing.
Yeah.
It's up 20-some% for me, so it's definitely a huge winner for me.
And massive volume
it's
yesterday.
my largest position that I've added to it too.
Yeah.
So so this is propelling me upwards, which is good. So we'll see where it goes from here. I'm not sure how much it has left in it, but it is one of the ones that kind of can trend sideways. Like if you look at kind of the whole month of August, it kind of kept pushing up slowly through. So it's not to say it's going to continue at this level, but right now it looks good. Looks like it's in a pretty strong up move. Huge volume on Friday.
Yeah, on Friday. And this tends to bounce off the 20-day so far, it seems like. Maybe the 50-day at the bottom here, but yeah, getting a bit extended now, of course. But I think this has room to, if you look at the volume coming in on Friday,
Yeah, it could have another few
Looks
big days.
good.
I'm not sure. I mean, it's already up. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 days in a row. So it's
it's for the entire week.
And it did have it had gotten all the way up to looks like 668, and it's now, and it did kind of pull back a little bit at the end. What did it do at the end of the day?
That's
actually,
one thing
it kind of held up. If you look at the intraday, it's a big purchase at the end of the day. Surprisingly.
That was one thing I liked a lot about URG, because if you look at that chart, it just ended at a high for the day,
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. I'm not really worrying about that kind of thing anymore.
No.
Like I said, I've kind of solidified my sell rules, just kind of based on what the chart's doing. And for better or for worse, I think it is going to be what it is going to be.
Yeah.
And like I said, this week the numbers looked promising. There's probably a few things I could have sold at the end on Friday, like you said, that I didn't sell. Just kind of looking in hindsight. But just to give you an idea too, because I know my screen's not up for you guys to see, but I have 25 positions right now, which is very high for me, kind of since I've been swing trading. But it kind of allows me to take different names, kind of play around with some setups. I'm sure that number may decrease as time goes on, as I keep cleaning up my setups and which ones I'm going into. But like I said, right now it allows me a big stop loss. It allows me to kind of play around with names and we'll see how it goes from here.
I got stopped on GROY, GROY this week. It did break below 20-day moving average, and then it has pulled back. And I was actually prepared to add another 10% to it if it did break out here. But instead I got stopped for a gain, so I'm still very happy with how this trade went. But I kept it on the watch list because if it still breaks out, I might jump in with a 10% position again, I think. But yeah, let's see. That was kind of my first 20% position, and it worked out not gigantic, but a little bit of a success.
Nice.
And I think another thing that which one was it? I don't even remember now, but there was some stock that was breaking out. I tried to delete a lot of the things that I'm not happy with on my watch list, so so they are, you know, tidy. So I don't think I can find the one I was talking about right now, but there was a stock that was breaking up pretty clearly, but it just had low volume. And like I said, that's one area I've tried to improve, like to get fewer of the stop losses, of course. But that's one thing I have tweaked a little bit. Like if I see a setup, but it's not backed up with like pretty heavy volume straight off the opening hours, I'm more hesitant to take it than I have been. I'm sure I'm gonna miss out. Like that stock still was breaking out, you know, but I'm not sure if it's gonna hold up as much as, for example, UAMY, which got the massive volume, you know. So that's one part that I have been trying to do the last couple of weeks, to just not get tempted, even though everything looks good, but the volume just isn't there. But the stock still, I think, went up almost 8%. So maybe I was wrong on that one, but I still feel good about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would argue it's the right play. But yeah, just looking at some different stuff. I like the chart for, I took CRML. I thought that looked like it had a nice cup and handle forming.
CRML?
Yeah, critical metals.
Yeah. Metals, yeah. Yeah, nice. So you took it on Friday, I guess?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then just trying to see some other charts that look decent to me here going forward. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how much this stuff can run. You know, there's a bunch of charts I'm looking at, and it looks like since August, like some of these really just names have just kind of taken off and just been riding highs.
Yeah. But for all we know, like the market can just continue, you know?
Yeah, I don't count anything out. It always surprises me how long these things can kind of run. You know, and once again, it just kind of depends on the news that comes out. Like,
Yeah.
as of now, everything kind of looks good. Everything looks kind
Yeah.
of bullish. So like people just kind of keep trickling into these things, and everything just kind of keeps moving up. Then, you know, the narrative will change, something will happen, and then everything will pull back, and then from there, you know, you kind of have to decide where you think things are headed and what you want to do in terms of, you know, how heavy you want to keep trading. But
if you pull up TIGR, Dayne, exactly what we said were going to happen this week. But let's see where it's moving forward.
Right.
Because it did break just below the 50-day, and now we had a good day on Friday again. So maybe it's on the next leg up here.
Yeah, I would argue if you're going to trade this one, I'd probably take it here.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, let's see.
There's a few times it's broken below the 50, but pretty rarely, and it doesn't go down by too much from there. So if it can hold here, it's a bit of a longer hold, and then you got to make sure you have some kind of sell roll because it tends to peak and then pull right back. It's
Yeah,
kind
I
of
was gonna say like the moves really holds though. That's why it does bounce off that 50-day. But if you manage to identify like maybe around the, I'm sure you can see some pattern if you really look here also on the tops,
yeah. I don't really this isn't really my kind of setup, but
No, same.
this
I
is
just
this
think
is
it's
one I would
interesting.
argue, just looking at how this chart looks, like you could buy off the 50.
Yeah. I agree. Um, I think I was saying to you before the stream, like NEGG seems to. This is a wild stock, of course, but it has actually gone up from the low here, almost 80%. So if this is moving sideways a little bit or creates a setup, this one is something I think people should watch because this has potential to move very quickly. Both directions, though.
Yeah, it's a little tough. I would have actually said if I'm looking at this chart now, I would have wanted to take this on Friday.
Yeah, I was having my lines here. I would even try it on Wednesday, I think. But for me, the moving averages needs to line up a little bit more. I need to give it some time to show that it's gonna actually, hold up.
Yeah.
So I'm not interested down here, I think. But yeah, I'm just having it on my list. I've created our own list now with fast movers, high ADR stocks.
Mm-hmm.
So that one, UAMY is in there because when I added this list, it had like 7. Now it's at 6.72. So fairly high, quick mover.
Yeah, we'll see where it can go from here, but
One stock I missed out on was AMPX. I took it on Monday, but I got stopped out. And then on Tuesday, I wasn't really. I was too late seeing the breakout here, so I ended up not taking it, which was a mistake because that has performed really well, and also the volume is just coming in massively now. Isn't this one of your big winners for the year, Dayne?
yeah, I think this was the July one I had run.
Yeah.
I took it either on the 2nd or the 3rd and rode it all the way till the end of the month, essentially. Somewhere in there, I held it till.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a big winner for me. But yeah, so like I said, we'll kind of see where things go from here. You got anything else you want to add?
No, I one stock caught my attention this week, and that was NUVB. It's a biotech that has some news in. They got approved one of their things in Japan, and they're also approved in China and the USA, I think. But the price hasn't really moved that much on those types of news. But I checked in Open Insider, and the insider has actually bought a lot of shares recently in September, just like this past 2 weeks. And there's also some pretty interesting institutional ownership there. And in addition, there's a lot of new, institutional investor ownership. And the news that they were approved in Japan was coming in yesterday. And they also had some upgrades from analysts that they have the price target of $10 per share. Right now it's at 322. So
Yeah.
I just put it on my radar because I want to I think if this actually breaks out, it can run pretty high.
Yeah, it looks decent. I think I just want to. I would wait a little bit longer.
Yeah, I agree.
It just it's enough of a pullback. It reminds me how it looks in the start of August, where it kind of bounced off the 50 for a little bit. So maybe let that 50 catch up just a little bit more.
Yeah. And I saw a lot of the holders who have followed this ticker for a long time. They said like I think it's a high short interest here, 30% or something, which is also exciting, right?
It can be. I mean, that's
yeah, it
not a
can be.
bad-
But they were saying like every time there's some good news here, the price just doesn't move. And they blamed it on the short sellers, of course. But I don't know. I need to investigate further. But yeah, this caught my attention a little bit this week.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, interesting. I'll definitely just keep the name in mind.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
it's back to all-time highs, though. I mean, I know it's at 322, but the previous was around, and I'm not talking like in this last like week or two. I'm talking way back in the start of the year.
Yeah.
It hit 350-ish.
And since June, it's up almost double.
So somewhere in there makes it it does make it interesting. And now you got all the moving averages in the right, you know, pattern.
And you can argue that it has started on the consolidation phase here, but I agree with you. You need a clear setup.
Yeah, I either would want to see higher lows here, or like I said, just see that 50-day really catch up.
Yeah.
One of those two.
Also, a fairly high ADR stock at 767. Market cap of 1 billion, so it is somewhat big in terms of what we are dealing with. But yeah, no, I just found the news interesting, and they're gonna have like a secure payment soon. They were talking like when the next quarter report comes here, they will outperform massively, was the estimates. There was a good article on Seeking Alpha on it as well. But I expect it to have the potential to run up before next quarter earnings, I think. Which, according to TradingView, is in 5 of November.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, this was kind of my week, I think. I was saying to you just we looked at Alto before the stream, right?
Yeah. Alto, man, what a stock that does not catch a break.
Yeah. Oh my god. And I'm laughing. I feel like I can laugh because I have a big loss in here. So to everyone else,
you have to.
I'm in the same boat as everyone else that has lost money on this. It was such a large position for me as well. I was completely wrong. Management, they has done a poor job here. And you said you were seeing it moving up, and then we saw on Friday it just got crushed.
I saw it on Thursday, and thought it looked interesting, but I don't like that the whole fact it's still in that downtrend. Like, I want it to come out of the downtrend, and then I'm looking at it as a breakout.
But it tried on Thursday because it crossed the 200-day moving average on Thursday.
Right, and then the most bearish sign you can possibly see is a massive reversal off the 200. So
and now the share price is below $1.
This is the risk you take in going into these ones that are in a downtrend.
Yeah, for sure.
Until you have that 200 kind of move in the other direction, like it's ugly.
And it's Justin used GPRE as their competitor, or the company that he compared them with, and if you look at that chart, it's just completely different, right? GPRE is actually on one of my lists now because it has it kind of moves in a good setup right now. I think I'm not gonna take it, but I'm gonna follow it, I think.
Yeah, and you know, this is it's still a little off in terms of, you know, but that 100's about to cross the 200. So once again, we're starting to see where this one's turning around. The 200's moving sideways now. So at least like at a bare minimum, this is trending sideways. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
And
if,
I know, trust me, it looks good. It's broken out a few times. I mean, you know, you could argue like, okay, you could have took this on June 27th and look at the run it had from there. And true, but there's a lot of these that don't work out. There's a lot of altos that
yeah.
you take that on that day, and the next day it gets killed. So
Yeah.
But another one too, where, you know, maybe follow the news, that kind of thing.
It just seems like a tough group and a sector.
Yeah, it's probably not where I'm looking. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And even in these, I mean, swing trades work because swing trades work. You know, I mean, the supply and demand of what's actually going on here. As soon as you understand that, you see why these always are working out. Yeah. But you know, as always, try and look in the stronger sectors. Trying to look for stuff with news. There's really not much else to say on those.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't think I got much to add. Just keep on keeping on here, trying to start pushing to some newer highs, especially with the way this week performed. It kind of sucked that I had taken some hits at the start of the week, because it would have been nice to be up past where I am now. That would have almost put me back to my all-time highs.
Around 30.
Yeah, my highest percentage gain was 60.5 for the past, you know, year since I've been. So for this year, yes, it would have put me above 30.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, like you said earlier, like this is the first year. 25 to 30 is excellent if you just look at it isolated. Right. But I 100% agree with you. Like we are doing this and putting this much effort in to get minimum 50, I think, in a year.
Yeah, and that's why I said I just have to work on a little bit more of my my rules, and I think I can get there.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of stocks had a good Friday.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, no. We can go on next week and then see what this next week is bringing. But I hope that it will be much of the same. And you know, there was some pretty significant news with the rate cuts and all that stuff this week. So I hope we can the market will build forward on that, and we will see next week then. Do you know if you can do one next week, Dayne?
What was going on next week? If I can, it's got to be Saturday morning.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't do Sunday, so it just depends. As long as nothing comes up Saturday, yes, I should be able to do it.
We will try then on Saturday, I think. But Yeah, as always, come to our Discord. It's we update everyone there on the the times for the streams. I'm just trying to think like no, I think I can do one Saturday as well. So probably gonna be Saturday then next weekend.
All right.
Yeah. Good
All
luck
right,
to
everybody.
everyone for the coming week, and we will see you in a week then.
Yeah. And hopefully everything keeps going up.
Yeah, let's hope so. No glasses though. The glasses didn't come on today either, but still, it's good times.
Yeah. Right now.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. Presidentially, it says it should actually trail down once we hit November. So we have
Yeah,
until November before it starts to pull back a little bit.
Yeah, it did say that. So
Or was it leading into November? Hang on, let me look at this picture real quick.
no, it was around October, November.
Yeah, actually, it travels sideways until November, and then from
Yeah.
November it starts to work its way up. So we
We-
might
we-
be at the actual peak right now.
We can post that chart in or the image in the Discord, Dane, so people know what we are talking about.
Yeah, we'll post it there so people can
Yeah.
see it.
All right, see you then.
All right, everybody, have a good week.
Bye bye.